pocket full of posy. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down.
This video is based on a true story, my story. My friends and I, using a Ouija board, accidentally opened a supernatural door, allowing paranormal spirits into my home. The events that followed were some of the most frightening things I ever experienced. To this day, decades later, I will not allow Ouija boards in my home. It all started on a summer's day when I was 10. 3 of my friends were with me. As kids, we'd been experimenting with some white magic spells. I had bought a book at the store, and it was filled with spells. Most were for ways to get boys to either like or notice the person casting the spell. My parents weren't home that day, both were at work. This was a time before the internet and cell phones, a time when kids had to find something to entertain themselves with. The instructions in the book were pretty simple. Before you cast a spell, a 5-point star was to be drawn on all windows and doors. This was done to make sure no spirits or entities entered the house. So on that day, we all took white chalk and drew stars on the outside of all the doors and windows. We cast a few spells, and then we got the Ouija board out. We all put our hands on the plank and asked questions. I do remember wondering if it really moved by itself or if it was one of the other girls doing it. As we were using the board, a side door a few feet away from us opened and then slammed shut all by itself. Terrified, we all jumped up and ran out the door. It was then that I noticed there was no star on the door. We missed it. It was very hot that day, and there was no wind. No one was outside except us. I could not find any logical reason that the door opened. We all knew that whatever opened that door was not a living human. A few hours later, I put the Ouija board and the spell book in the closet. We never played with them again. When my parents came home, I did not tell them what happened. I believed that they would think that I had gone crazy. Then a few nights after the door opened, I was awakened in the middle of the night by someone knocking on the door. My bedroom was only a few feet from the door, so I was the first person to hear it. I answered the door and saw a man and a woman dressed in old-fashioned clothes. The man and the woman pushed past me and walked into my bedroom. I sat down on the bed, and then the couple moved to the end of my bed and stood there. They did not say anything, not one word. I am not sure how I knew, but within a few minutes, I knew these people were not human. My parents did not wake up, so I believe I was the only one who could see them. After an hour or so, I couldn't stay awake any longer, and I fell asleep. They were still standing there watching me, but when I woke up, they were gone. Over the next several weeks, the people showed up every night. After the first night, they did not knock on the door. They just appeared at the foot of my bed. The only thing I learned from the couple was they weren't human. They did have the ability to appear and disappear at will. But these 2 spirits were not as frightening as what happened next. I was home alone one day and went into the kitchen to get something to drink. Just as I opened the refrigerator, I noticed a mist to the left of me. As I watched the mist form into an old woman, the spirit did not watch like the others did. It came at me. Terrified, I ran out of the house, and I didn't return until my parents came home. The next day, I threw the Ouija board and spell book in the garbage. I was hoping that would fix the problem we had created. It didn't work. The old lady continued to show up and chase me, always in the daytime and always when I was alone. She was also making a screaming noise. It was high-pitched and loud. The boy who lived next door heard her one day and came crashing through the door to help. She disappeared as soon as he got there. So, in the daytime, I tried to have someone there with me as much as possible. The old lady would not appear if anyone else was there. But at night, the creepy couple continued to appear, dressed in old-fashioned clothes that looked like they came off the set of Interview with a Vampire. As summer turned to fall, I noticed some strange changes to my dad. He was a very easygoing person and never really raised his voice. He never caused a fight. But as fall approached, his personality began to change. He became angry and would argue with me and yell and scream and chase me out of the house. He started throwing things at me like dishes and silverware, even coffee cups. I noticed that most of the things that he was doing was exactly what the old lady did. A few times the boy next door heard him and came to help. Then my dad began to terrorize the boy, throwing chairs at him and screaming and chasing him. My mom worked nights, and when I tried to tell her what was going on, she did not believe me. A few weeks later, the watcher couple stopped showing up. So I thought maybe the nightmare was over. But I was wrong. The worst was yet to come. To this day, I'm not sure what it was. It started with noises. The sounds were coming from inside my bedroom wall. They were scratching noises and sounds that sounded like someone was bumping into the wall from the inside. A few nights later, I could see imprints of hands pushing the wall. It was like it was trying to come out of the wall. Within a matter of days, the thing in the wall was pushing so hard you could see the outline of what looked like hands and a face. Cracks started to show in the wall. I tried to tell my parents. They thought I had an overactive imagination. Neither one of them could see the face or the hands. The thing in the wall only appeared when they were not home or sleeping. I did everything I could not to be in my room. I started to sleep on the couch or on the floor in the living room. My bedroom was just off the living room, and one night I was awakened to hear the sound of scratching and pounding coming from the wall. It was a lot louder than it had been before, so I went to the doorway of my room and looked. The thing in the wall was pressing really hard on the inside of the wall. More cracks were showing now. I knew it was only a matter of time until the wall would give way. I didn't have long to wait. Within a matter of minutes, the wall had collapsed. A large cloud of dust filled the room, but through the dust I could see the thing that had been in the wall. I was terrified, so terrified I couldn't move. All I remember is I screamed and everything went black. I woke up on the couch. My dad was there. I started to try to get up and he stopped me. Dad said he heard me scream and that I had fainted or passed out. He wanted to make sure I was okay. I looked through the open door into my bedroom. There was a large hole in the wall. Dad saw me looking and said, "The wall came apart. The noise must have scared you." There was no sign of the thing that came out of the wall. My dad did not mention it, so I was sure he didn't see it. The thing never returned. Dad sold the house a few weeks later. The next two owners only lived in the house about a year before selling it. No one knew why. The house was demolished 2 years later. I believe the Ouija board opened some sort of porthole. A porthole I had no idea how to close. Please be sure to like and subscribe to see future videos.